The night everything changed for Jamie Dornan and Amelia Warner didn't begin with shouting. It began with silence. The kind of silence so heavy that even the walls seemed to hold their breath. Hollywood had only caught fragments of what happened, whispers and half-truths swirling through social media. But those who knew the couple sensed it immediately. Something inside their marriage had reached its breaking point. It started after a week filled with tension neither of them could escape. Jamie had just returned from a press tour, appearing exhausted, distracted, and unusually guarded during interviews. Meanwhile, Amelia had been photographed walking alone in London, her expression tight, her hands clasped together as if she were holding herself together. Individually, those moments didn't seem alarming, but together, they painted a picture of two people on the verge of emotional collapse. Reporters speculated endlessly. Fans analyzed every step, every look, every moment of distance between them. But what truly pushed everything over the edge wasn't seen on camera. It happened behind closed doors, in the place that had always been their refuge. Amelia was the one who finally asked the question neither wanted to face. "Where are we going?" Not with anger, not with accusation, but with a softness that hurt more than shouting ever could. Jamie froze. He knew the question wasn't about their weekend plans or their next family trip. It was about them. The love they built, the family they protected, and the bond that had been quietly fraying under the weight of pressure, schedules, and rumors. For months, he had been fighting off headlines linking him to co-stars, whispers about emotional distance, and gossip that twisted every friendly gesture into something scandalous. He tried to rise above it, convince himself it didn't matter. But it did, especially when he saw how those rumors wounded the woman who had stood beside him for more than a decade. Amelia wasn't angry about the work. She understood the industry better than anyone. What hurt her were the shadows cast by voices she had never met, the strangers insisting they knew the truth about her marriage. The endless judgment, the invasive speculation, the sense that she was constantly competing with a version of Jamie the world had created, not the man she married. Their conversations had become shorter. Their time together felt rushed, chaotic, overshadowed by the noise outside. Little misunderstandings turned into silence. Silence turned into distance. And on that night, the distance finally cracked. Jamie tried to explain. The stress, the lying awake in hotel rooms thinking about their children, the fear of saying the wrong thing and fanning the flames of rumors. He admitted he had withdrawn emotionally without meaning to. He was trying to protect Amelia, but in doing so, he pushed her away. Amelia listened, but her eyes revealed the truth. She had been carrying her own weight, her own fears. She spoke about feeling invisible within the storm of his fame, about how people online dissected her appearance, her expressions, even her parenting. About the constant pressure of being the strong one, while quietly crumbling inside. For the first time in months, everything poured out: tears, frustration, resentment, love that felt lost yet still present. It wasn't a fight. It was two people finally admitting how much hurt they had swallowed to keep everything from falling apart. What neither expected was how quickly their words spiraled into something heavier. Jamie mentioned the latest headline, the one suggesting he had been seen comforting a co-star late at night during filming. The article was false, exaggerated beyond recognition, but Amelia had seen it. She had tried to ignore it. She couldn't. Her voice trembled when she confessed the truth. "It scared me, not because I believed it, but because I didn't know how much more I could endure." That sentence shattered him. Jamie had faced critics, harsh reviews, demanding directors, but nothing ever hit him the way her trembling confession did. For the first time, he realized just how close she had been to giving up. The world saw him as strong, charming, effortless, but Amelia had seen the parts he tried to hide. And he had failed to see her own breaking point. Their conversation stretched for hours. The moon shifted. The house fell into deeper darkness. Neither of them moved, afraid that any sudden sound would snap the fragile honesty between them. The turmoil had built quietly, like a storm growing far offshore, and tonight, it finally made landfall. The moment came when Amelia whispered the words that would haunt Jamie long after the night ended. "We can't live like this anymore. Something has to change, or we won't survive this." For the first time, they both realized that the future of their marriage wasn't guaranteed. They would have to decide, together, whether to rebuild what was broken, or walk away. Outside the house, Hollywood slept unaware. Inside, everything hung on a razor's edge. The morning after their devastating conversation didn't bring clarity. It brought weight, the kind that settles into the air, into the chest, into every step. Jamie woke before sunrise, staring at the ceiling, hearing Amelia's voice echo in his head. "Something has to change, or we won't survive this." For years, he believed their marriage was unshakable. They had weathered fame, distance, rumors, and the unpredictable rhythm of Hollywood. But now he understood the truth. Strength didn't come from ignoring the cracks. It came from facing them. Yet he wasn't the only one awake. Downstairs, Amelia sat by the kitchen window with a mug of untouched tea, her hands trembling slightly. She wasn't angry anymore. She was tired, the exhaustion of someone who had fought too long to hold everything together. When Jamie entered the room, their eyes met in a way that felt unfamiliar, almost fragile. They weren't husband and wife in that moment. They were two people standing on opposite sides of a bridge that was starting to collapse. They didn't speak at first. Words felt too heavy, too sharp. But eventually, Amelia broke the silence. "We need help," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Real help. Not pretending everything is fine." The admission wasn't weakness, it was courage. And Jamie felt both relieved and terrified. He nodded, unable to find the right words. They had reached the point where neither pride nor fear mattered anymore. Only honesty. But the world didn't give them time to breathe. Within hours, tabloids released a new wave of headlines. Jamie Dornan marriage in crisis. Sources say separation is possible. Amelia Warner seen alone. Trouble at home? Photos from weeks earlier were suddenly repackaged as proof. Anonymous claims appeared out of nowhere. And social media lit up with theories, accusations, sympathy, and cruelty. Amelia tried to mute her notifications. It didn't help. The noise seeped through every corner of her life. Friends texted her to check in. Family members reached out in worry. Even people she hadn't spoken to in years suddenly sent messages filled with speculation disguised as concern. Meanwhile, Jamie was filming on set when his phone buzzed nonstop. He saw the headlines, the comments, the fan speculation, and felt the guilt crash over him. He excused himself, walked out to an empty hallway, and called Amelia immediately. "I'm coming home," he said, without hesitation. "No," she replied gently. "Finish your day. We'll talk tonight. Running away from work won't fix us." Her calmness pierced him deeper than anger ever could. By the time Jamie returned home that evening, the house felt different. Not colder, quieter, almost sacred. Amelia was waiting for him at the table, not with accusations, but with something far heavier, a folded letter. She had written it during the day, afraid she wouldn't be able to say the words out loud. Jamie unfolded the paper with shaking hands. Inside, Amelia had poured out every unspoken fear. The moments she had cried alone. The nights she felt him drifting away. The dread of losing the man she loved to the chaos surrounding him. She confessed that she felt small in the shadow of a world obsessed with his image. That sometimes she didn't know where Jamie Dornan, her husband, ended and where Jamie Dornan, Hollywood icon, began. When he finished reading, his eyes were wet. He looked at her, heartbreaking open. "I never wanted you to feel alone," he said. "But I did," she whispered. "And you didn't see it." The confession ignited something inside him, a fierce, overwhelming determination to fight for what they still had. For the life they built. For the family that depended on their strength more than the world could ever understand. They talked for hours, not about rumors, not about work, not about the past, but about the future. About boundaries, about healing, about therapy. About reshaping their life in a way that protected their relationship from the brutal machinery of fame. Then came the moment that would define everything. "So," Amelia asked softly, "what do we choose?" Jamie reached across the table, taking her hands into his. "We choose us," he said. "No matter how hard it gets. No matter what the world says. We rebuild, together." A tear slipped down her cheek, but for the first time in months, it wasn't from pain. It was from hope. Their decision didn't magically erase the turmoil. It didn't silence the rumors or stop paparazzi from circling like vultures. But behind closed doors, something shifted. They were no longer fighting against each other. They were fighting for the same thing. Hollywood, however, wasn't ready to let the story go. Just as the couple began repairing the fragile threads of their marriage, a new detail surfaced online. One that hinted someone close to them had been feeding information to the press. A betrayal from the inside. And suddenly, their journey wasn't just about healing. It was about uncovering who wanted to tear them apart. And why.